I am 98 years old, and I am sitting in a high-back wing chair that has outlasted 3 upholstery jobs and 2 of my wives. The leather is cracked, much like my skin, and the springs groan under a weight that has become less about bone and muscle and more about the heavy, invisible accumulation of a century's worth of ghosts. You are looking at me, or perhaps at someone like me, and you see a relic. You see a library of stories you think you've already heard. You think I'm going to tell you to save your pennies, or to work hard, or to find a good woman and stay true. But I'm not here to give you the eulogy of a well-lived life. I'm here to tell you that I spent 80 years of my existence as a ghost, haunting my own life before I was even dead. The world thinks that the tragedy of old age is the ending. It's not. The tragedy is the realization of how much of the beginning and the middle you slept through because you were too busy preparing for an end that you didn't believe would actually come for you. We treat time like a currency we have an infinite supply of, printing more of it in our minds every time we say next year or when things settle down. I am here to tell you, from the vantage point of a man who can count his remaining weeks on his fingers, that settling down is a myth. The sea never stops moving. You just stop learning how to swim in it. I didn't learn this at 70. I didn't learn it at 80. I learned it, or rather I was given the first lesson, in 1972. I was 44 years old. In the eyes of the world, I was at the peak of my powers. I was a structural engineer, a man of steel and concrete, a man who calculated loads and stress points so that things would stand forever. I took immense pride in that. I looked at a bridge and saw my own immortality. I looked at my family, my wife, Elena, and our 3 children, and I saw a project that was under control. Elena was the kind of woman who moved through a room like a quiet breeze. You didn't always notice she was there until she was gone and the air went still. She was the one who remembered the birthdays, who knew which child was afraid of the dark, and who kept the hum of our household at a steady, peaceful frequency. And I, the great engineer, treated her like a constant, like gravity. You don't thank gravity for holding you to the earth. You just assume it will always be there. It was a Tuesday in November. I remember the smell of the air, damp, metallic, the scent of coming winter. I was in my home office, surrounded by blueprints for a municipal stadium. It was the biggest contract of my career. The stress was a physical weight on my shoulders, a knot between my blades that I wore like armor. Elena came into the room with a cup of coffee. She didn't say anything at first, just set it down. Then she leaned against the desk and said, "Arthur, Tommy scored his first goal at the game today. He kept looking at the stands for you. He's in his room now, still wearing his jersey. Go say something to him?" I didn't even look up. I was tracing a load-bearing line, and her voice was just interference. "I'm in the middle of this, Elena," I snapped. "The boy knows I'm working. I'm building a future for him. There will be other goals. I'll take him out for ice cream this weekend to make up for it." "He doesn't want ice cream this weekend," she said softly. "He wants his father on a Tuesday." "Not now," I said, my voice rising. "I'm busy." She stood there for a moment longer. I could feel her gaze on the top of my head. I felt a flicker of guilt, but I suppressed it with the righteous indignation of a man providing for his family. She left the room, closing the door with a click that sounded, in retrospect, like a vault locking shut. 3 hours later, I heard a thud from the kitchen. By the time I got there, Elena was on the floor. A massive cerebral hemorrhage, the doctor said later. A freak occurrence. An act of God. She never regained consciousness. She died at 2:14 a.m. in a sterile hospital room that smelled of floor wax and despair. In the wake of her death, I was destroyed. Or so I thought. I cried until my ribs ached. I held my children and promised them I would be there for them. I told myself that the lesson had been learned. Life is fragile. Love is all that matters. I took 2 months off work. I played catch with Tommy. I listened to my daughter Sarah play the flute. I was present. But here is the truth that no one wants to admit. Pain wears off. Awareness is a muscle that atrophies without constant, agonizing use. Within a year, the great engineer was back. The blueprints returned. The "not now, I'm busy" returned. I convinced myself that the best way to honor Elena was to ensure our children wanted for nothing. I mistook financial security for emotional presence. I thought that by building a wall of money around them, I was protecting them from the world that had taken their mother. In reality, I was just building a wall between myself and the people I claimed to love. I married again in 1980, Maria. She was a widow, a woman who understood loss, and she brought a vibrant, chaotic energy into my sterile life. She loved the outdoors, the kind of woman who would stop the car just to look at a specific shade of orange in a sunset. For 30 years, she tried to pull me into the world. She would ask me to go for walks, to sit on the porch and do nothing but watch the fireflies, to take a weekend trip to a cabin where there was no phone. And for 30 years, I gave her the most sophisticated version of "not now" that a man can devise. I wasn't mean about it. I was productive. I was engaged in important matters. When we did go on those walks, my mind was miles away, calculating the ROI on a property or rehearsing an argument for a board meeting. I was physically walking next to a woman who adored me, but mentally I was 1,000 miles away, living in a future that didn't exist. Maria died 10 years ago. We were sitting on the porch, the very porch she had begged me to sit on for decades. She was talking about a book she was reading, and I was scrolling through my tablet, checking the news. She stopped mid-sentence. I didn't even notice for a full minute. When I finally looked up, her head was tilted back, her eyes closed. She looked like she was just enjoying the breeze, but the breeze was no longer hers to feel. My biggest regret isn't that I didn't travel more or that I didn't make more money. It's the sheer volume of ordinary Tuesdays I discarded like scrap paper. It's the millions of micro moments where I was offered a connection, a look, a touch, a shared silence, and I traded it for a thought about a job that no longer exists or a worry about a problem that never happened. You think you are different. You think because you are young and your heart beats with a steady, rhythmic thrum, that you have a reservoir of time that will never run dry. You think that the people you love are fixed stars in your sky. They aren't. They are shooting stars, and you are blinking. I had a son, Tommy. The boy with the jersey. We had a falling out when he was in his 30s. It was over something so inconsequential, I can't even remember the specifics. something about my disapproval of his career choices, my insistence that he be more like me. We didn't speak for 5 years. 5 years of silence because of my pride, my engineering need to have everything aligned to my specifications. When I got the call that he had been killed in a car accident, the world didn't end. It just became very, very quiet. I went to his house to help his widow clear out his things. In his nightstand, I found a ticket stub from that soccer game in 1972. He had kept it for 40 years, a reminder of the day he scored his first goal and the day he realized his father wouldn't come. I sat on his bed and held that piece of paper, and I realized that I had spent 40 years being busy, while my son had spent 40 years waiting for me to show up. People talk about the big moments, weddings, births, promotions. Those aren't your life. Those are the chapter headings. Your life is the sentences in between. Your life is the way you drink your coffee in the morning. It's the way you look at your partner when they're telling a story you've heard 20 times before. It's the patience you show when your child asks you why for the 100th time. And most of us, nearly all of us, skip the sentences to get to the next heading. I see you on your phones. I see you distracted. I see you living in a constant state of elsewhere. You think you are connecting with the world, but you are disengaging from the only world that actually matters, the one within arm's reach. You are trading the tactile, sensory reality of a human being's presence for the digital ghost of a stranger's approval. I have outlived my wives. I have outlived 2 of my 3 children. I have outlived my enemies and my friends. And what I am left with, in the silence of this room, is not the memory of my career or the buildings I designed. What I am left with are the ghosts of the moments I wasn't there for. I remember the smell of Elena's hair, but I can't remember the last thing I said to her that wasn't a complaint or an instruction. I remember the light in Maria's eyes, but I remember more clearly the blue light of the screen I was looking at instead. Nature is a cruel teacher. She gives you the test first and the lesson afterward. At 98, I finally have the lesson, but I have no more tests to take. But you do. You are in the middle of your exam right now. If your mother is alive, call her. Not to check in, but to listen. To really listen to the cadence of her voice, the pauses where she's trying to find the right word. Because one day, you will be searching for that sound in the corridors of your memory, and it will be fading. If you have a child who wants to show you a drawing or tell you about a bug they found, put down whatever you are holding. That drawing is more important than your email. That bug is more significant than your to-do list. You are not just looking at a drawing, you are witnessing the formation of a soul, and you are either present for it or you are absent. There is no middle ground. If you have a partner who is trying to catch your eye across a dinner table, look back. Don't just see them. Recognize them. Recognize that they are a miracle of biology and circumstance, a consciousness that has chosen to walk alongside yours in a vast, indifferent universe. I am not telling you to be perfect. I am telling you to be awake. We are all sleepwalkers, drifting through our decades on autopilot, waiting for real life to begin. We wait for the weekend. We wait for the vacation. We wait for the retirement. And then we wake up at 98 and realize that life was what was happening while we were waiting. The promise I made at 44, I broke 1,000 times. The human brain is designed to forget tragedy so that we can keep functioning, but the cost of that functioning is a dulling of the soul. You have to fight the forgetting. You have to wake yourself up every single morning and remind yourself, I am not guaranteed tomorrow. The people I love are not guaranteed tomorrow. This Tuesday is the only Tuesday I have. My remaining son, Robert, is 70 now. He comes to see me every Wednesday. He sits where you are sitting. He tells me about his grandchildren. And I do something now that I never did when he was young. I leave my phone in the other room. I don't look at the clock. I look at his face. I see the lines that match mine. I listen to the way he laughs, the same way his mother used to laugh. And for those 2 hours, I am finally, truly, 100% alive. But 2 hours a week at the end of a century is a poor substitute for a lifetime of presence. Do not wait until you are a relic in a wing chair to start living. Do not wait until the voices of the people you love are only echoes in your head. The world will tell you that you need to be someone, to achieve something, to leave a legacy. But the only legacy that matters is the way you made the people around you feel when you were with them. Were you there, or were you just a ghost in the room? I am 98 years old, and my body is a failing machine. The engine is stuttering, the frame is rusted, and the fuel is almost gone. I am ready for the quiet. But before I go, I want to scream this at you until your ears ring. Your life is happening right now. Not after you finish this, not tomorrow morning. Now. The person in the next room, the person on the other end of the phone, the person sitting across from you, they are the most important thing in the universe. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just blueprints and scrap paper. Stop waiting. Stop preparing. Stop building a future. Start inhabiting the present. Because the future is a ghost and the past is a shadow. All you have is the weight of the air in your lungs and the person in front of you. Don't blink. For the love of God, don't blink. I was an engineer who built things to last forever, only to realize that the most beautiful things are the ones that don't. The sunset, the laugh of a child, the final breath of a loved one. Their beauty is in their transience. If they lasted forever, we wouldn't need to pay attention. But they don't. And neither do you. I've had 170 days on this earth. I spent 35,000 of them looking past the people I loved at a horizon that never arrived. Don't do that. Don't be a ghost in your own home. Look at them. Listen to them. Be there. That is the only truth I have left. The rest is just silence.